And welcome back, everybody. Sorry about the technical issues there. We're streaming on YouTube exclusively right now, so we will try to have the links out on our regular social media, but unfortunately, it looks like we've been having some issues. We did contact Restream, and apparently it's an issue with them, but we'll try to get that back on. So as far as the status of the games goes, I believe they've actually already completed their first game. So it looks like they're on a payload mission right now.
Yeah, they're on good old King's Row, which is a usual fan favorite map. It's one of my favorite maps, especially.
What do you like about this map? Is it like a tank-friendly map, or?
It's more of like it's very much like a team. You have so many great team battles on this map, and it's really like, if you have two really good teams going back and forth on it, it makes it really fun to play. It also, instead of it just being like a tank-friendly map, it's more of like a all-role friendly map. Like if you're a tank, especially if like you're a diva, you can get up to those high points and rain down on the other team. And then if you're a damage dealer, there's a lot of like different alleyways and places where you can cross over. And it's also a great map where you can like rush the enemy team as well.
Well, you can see with a map with a lot of tight spaces why a May would be very useful there. And Diva, we're looking at it from Ethan's perspective right now, really able to do a lot of damage, but needing some heals there. Hopefully, yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, they got that anti-heal going.
Yeah, Thomas giving him a little help from behind as Anna.
Ooh, could not finish off that Lucio. That's.
Yeah, but I mean, being able to fall back like that and get the med pack to avoid getting a kill or avoid getting killed, definitely a good strategy by the team captain there. And
I also like the fact that they already capped the points. So if you break off, like it's not gonna kill you. It's not the worst thing in the world. You can regroup. You got plenty of time left to make some pushes and regroup, so it's always and that's something that a lot of people like you don't really think about a lot. You're thinking like, oh, we shouldn't back off and die, we're gonna lose. But no, more regrouping is the best way to go about it, just so you can go against the enemy team at full strength.
Yeah, so you're seeing no surprise here, Viva playing Echo, really doing a lot of damage here, and being one of the key players here, has the highest score right now, but it looks like they're trying to regroup a little bit, but they've been doing fairly well on this escort mission so far. They don't have a ton of time left, but they've already made it past the major checkpoint, and so now it's just going to be a real question of can they close the deal here. Oh, and Echo transforming into Reaper here for a second.
But he got caught up in the Graviton surge. Great job there by Cleary. Could not. That play was set up perfectly. I love the idea of duplicating to Reaper, because if you can build up that Death Blossom just super fast, it basically spells the end for the enemy team, but just a tough response there. You got about a minute left, so. Yeah,
you can tell they're trying to hustle here, but, they don't have that much further to go. This is certainly winnable. It's going to take a really good team effort. And it looks like they're trying to mount up for a second push here.
Exactly. And the problem with that, too, is that you're also trying to figure out, like, all right, what team or how many ults does the other team have in their bank?
Right.
Especially with that Zarya. The first kill you want to go for in this situation is you have to get rid of that Zarya, because her at such a high charge. I mean, playing a Zarya at high charge, it's like.
Right.
You have the magic eraser. You can take out everyone and anyone. It's great when it's on your team, but when you're on the enemy team again, it's like, or when it's against the enemy team and you're facing against that Zarya, it's almost just imperative to get in that, because you see right there, it just melts through Diva's mech.
Yeah, and baby Diva can't survive too long.
Yes, this is not long for this world, sadly.
Goodbye, Crow World.
As they get into OT.
Is that a Junkrat ult I saw there for a second?
Yeah, for a split second, maybe.
Yeah. All right, so round one, and it looks like they're in overtime.
Well, they pushed it pretty far, I'll say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Faulkner taking 2 right there. And now they're going to be trying to stop the payload, so we'll see how they do with adjusting to that.
yeah, and it's going to be and this is like, again, when playing defense on Kings Row, it's like,
right,
if you have it tailored like exactly right, you can hold that first choke point on defense all day long, and it's like, as long as you just walk, because it's so hard to get past that choke point.
Yeah, and just kind of watching these guys recently now, it hasn't been as prevalent in Overwatch 2, but the Faulkner Overwatch team seems to struggle with choke points just a little bit. Like, they have a really hard time pushing past those, more so than other things. Like, once they get past it, they tend to do pretty good team fighting. It's just a matter of, like, getting able to get past that and to sort of open up so where they can sort of play the kind of gameplay they want to play.
Yeah, and also it just comes from the idea of, like, you're still trying to get used to playing without that extra tank with you, because, you know, if you played Overwatch, it's been out for like 7 years at this point. I don't know. It just feels like it's been out forever. But you're so used to having that second tank with you in these compositions, and now that you have to run only 1 tank and you're playing only 5, it just makes it a little more difficult just to plan for it.
One thing that I noticed too is Wayne, who has the entire time I've known him been playing tank, he's actually on DPS because they don't have that second tank role, and so that's got to be a big adjustment for him. Of course, the other team has to make that adjustment too, I'm sure.
Exactly. It's like when you plan to have like 6 people on a team or whatever, you always have your designated, all right, this is your main tank, this is your off tank, this is your projectile, this is your hit scan damage dealer, and then you have like your area and then primary healer. But now it's like you gotta it's almost like a madhouse. It's like, you know, tanks got all of a sudden learn how to play damage. All of a sudden you got tanks trying to figure out what other roles to play besides tank, because they go, well, I gotta play support or I gotta play damage now. It's just sort of like you're just scrambling to figure out, okay, what other roles am I good at besides tank, because sometimes, you know, you may not need a Zarya, you may need a Ryan or a more of a shield type of tank, and it's always hard to adjust, especially if you've been playing an off tank for a long time.
Yeah, and one thing that you're seeing here too is very early on, Faulkner was doing a pretty good job of keeping that payload from moving, but now they're a little bit more scattered out, having a hard time getting to the payload, and that's creating some problems for them playing against the other team. You see Zarya is sort of trying to slowly make her way back to the point, but they're able to push that payload a lot faster than anticipated. They still have about 4.5 minutes, and they're already about halfway to the checkpoint.
Yeah, and now Reaper in that backline is not helping at all, especially as well with the Zarya. They're just wreaking havoc on this Faulkner backline, which is...
Yeah, it's interesting that both teams decided to go with Zarya.
Yeah, Zarya is one of those characters where you can run her as a main tank, definitely because of the 2 bubbles, but she also comes in handy as like an off tank as well, because she deals out so much damage with that particle beam, especially at full charge. You can melt a 200 health hero just like that. But
yeah, you're seeing exactly what you were talking about a second ago, that Reaper just doing a fantastic job of flanking and getting behind Faulkner team. This Cleary team has very quickly gone from not being able to move the payload at all to already making it to checkpoint 1. So hopefully Faulkner can do something to defend and hold them off, but they've got a lot of time left on the clock to be able to do that.
They've got a lot of time left and not enough close on the point, and there you go. I mean, that's what's going to end up happening, is a loss.
Yeah. Didn't take long at all. This team did an excellent job of just getting behind the lines that Faulkner had sort of set up for itself and just sort of wreaking havoc from behind. And he didn't have to take all 5 players every time. He'd just take out 1 or 2, and then the rest of them he just left to his teammates. And it's a fairly good strategy if Reaper can do that, even if you wind up losing a Reaper there. I mean, eventually, if you've taken that many and traded off that many players, then you know, it's very difficult to be able to come back from that.
Yeah, it's just so hard to try and deal with a flanking Reaper.
So now I am a little bit lost here, just because we had the technical difficulties and I was dealing with that. Was that second game there? That was third game?
Oh, that was no, I think that was the second one. That should be the second one, I believe.
Yeah, and we've got a best of 5 tonight, so I believe that they've got still one more to go.
They can try and pull off the reverse sweep. I mean, it's still...
weirder things have happened, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've watched my fair share of Overwatch. If you're not familiar with the Overwatch League, I've seen my fair share of games where it's like looks like the second team is completely dominating the entire time, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what just happened? We had this team going, and now all of a sudden we're stuck in like a 5th match. So it's like, what else can you do?
You know, I think because of the way that Overwatch is, and because it's so much revolving around picking and counter picking, that what you're going to notice here, which I think is far more true here than it is of like CSGO and maybe some other first-person shooter games, because it's a role-based shooter.
Exactly.
That you can do the picking and counter picking, and you know, if Trae and Ethan and the other guys in there can really just sort of zero in on who they need to pick to undermine that, like if you've got Reaper sort of tearing up your back lines.
Yeah.
Maybe you go with like a Winston that's really good at defending the back line, or maybe another character that could be a good counter to Reaper.
Yeah, you could go like a Winston or for your tank, or a Brig, as they are going right here as we get ready to do the escort map. Brig is really, that was basically what she was designed for.
Right.
Was to defend against characters that flank and to defend against characters that run they're a little more divish, like a Tracer and a Winston. And so I like the pick here with going with Brig here. And I also like that they're countering with a Reaper of their own.
Well, you know, it's interesting you brought up Briggs. This is something that you probably wouldn't be aware of, but, you know, I've seen them practice enough that I know this. Bridget is one we've been working on recently. And so if she can, you know, sort of manipulate that and take care of any of the flankers that we get, I actually really like our chances if we're switching to that, because I feel like we were only not using her specifically to try to counter something they did. So the fact that they feel like our game that we're more comfortable with tends to be what might yield better results here. I hope that is the case.
Yeah, and right here you can see they're running definitely a little bit more of a dive with a Winston and an Echo, and definitely and a Genji as well. So they are running a dive-ish composition. And you see,
I would bet that the Genji is being played by Wayne. I think it was Cleary that was running the dive. I meant as their. Yeah. You're correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just noticed actually. I'm trying. Here's the thing. I see that Wayne is actually playing as the cowboy, but I can't remember his actual name. I keep thinking of his old name.
It's McCree, but they changed it to Cassidy.
Cassidy, that's the new name. Yeah, I knew McCree. I just couldn't come up with the other name.
See, I just stick by the original name until I finally can get the old name right. Because
most of the fans would know what you were talking about.
Yeah,
but interesting that they have switched to Mariah.
Yeah, the Mora here. Mora is actually a really great healer as well against these like high damage compositions, because as you can see right there, she puts out so much. She can put out a lot of damage, but she also puts out a lot of healing and even a little bit of an overhealing effect as well.
Well, I think what they were trying to do here is let's pick us a healer that does a little bit more than just healing. So if we do get our back lines flanked like that, we're going to be able to counter it. Seems to me like that was probably the logic that they were going with there.
And Mora is a great pick, especially since you don't really have to put in a lot of effort with aiming. You can just like, it's sort of like a point and shoot kind of thing. It's like just point and just kind of lock on, and it really helps against characters like Genji, where it's so hard to try and like aim and try to get him with a traditional, with a regular character like McCree, where you have to kind of stun him. With Amora, it's more of like, oh, there he is, and then all you gotta do is just kind of have him in your field of view, and then the beam will automatically just lock on.
Yeah, Faulkner really struggling here though, because you can tell they have only gotten the payload a little bit past the halfway point first checkpoint and only have about a minute 17 left. So this is one of the maps that I've always kind of felt like they struggled with a little more. They have a really hard time defending from fire like way up high, like they're seeing right now. And that echo really sort of gave them some trouble a second ago by copying Roadhog, but now really I think even more so they're just having trouble defending from that high fire that they're having to deal with here.
Yeah, and as you can see here too, they're starting to use some of the ults that they've had stored up for a little bit as well. And
do you think maybe it was a problem of them playing too conservatively earlier?
I wouldn't say it's as much playing conservative as trying to adjust to dealing against that Winston setup, because Winston is one of those characters where it's like a good Winston will take you a very long way in a match, especially if you have a Winston that knows what they're doing, that knows when to look and go back for his teammates, but also knows when to push the issue and jump in when he can.
Interesting, they're switching here to one of the newer characters. Honestly, I haven't had time to watch a lot of Overwatch 2 play yet. Which character is this?
This is Sojourn, another damage-dealing hero who's kind of... It's almost like I would say a Soldier 76 a little bit on steroids.
Yeah.
A lot more mobile. Not that Soldier 76 was already like not mobile enough to begin with anyway, but
right.
She's more of a, I can get at the high ground faster, I can move around a little quicker, and I also got a little bit more range and a little more power with the railgun ability as well. So
now that Faulkner unable to take any points in the push, trying to get the payload, what do you think that they do? Like, what's the right play to try to defend against the payload?
Defend against the payload, you're going to have to try, and it's going to be hard because you don't have, of course, right now, Overwatch 2, that you don't have a Bastion or a Torb, or else I would probably suggest using that, but I like the pick here, going with an Ana and a Zen.
Wait, can you even use Bastion now? I thought that his player card was missing.
Yeah, Bastion right now has been... I think they had bugs with the character Bastion, with both Bastion and Torb, so they took him out of play for a little bit. I don't know how long. I'm, of course, rejoicing because I absolutely despise Bastion.
So you'd be fine if they just left him off.
Yeah, I'm fine if they just completely deleted him from the game, and I'm the same way with Torb, too.
I know Zay's not playing tonight, but he kind of mains Bastion, so that would be bad for our team.
Look, a good Bastion, like, you know, if you don't have a team that knows how to defend against the Bastion or how to attack him, I mean, it just causes havoc. But I like what they're doing here, where they're a little more spread out. They have the Diva there just to fight up against the Echo as well. And they did get a pick on the Zen there, and now they got the Ana, so both healers out of play for Faulkner.
Yeah. Really difficult position, but you can see there, I believe that's Wayne playing Ashe, who he kind of favors her whenever using DPS, but Ashe is a really, really good character to play here because there's so many sort of hidey holes up high that she can sort of scope down and take people out. Man, they're able to get a defeat very quickly there.
Yeah, it was just that Echo and Winston were just so able to pick off the healers so fast that they just couldn't react fast enough to do anything.
All right, so let's watch this play the game.
And see right here, you see the Winston, he's just looking, and as soon as he sees the low health character, he jumps in there and just immediately starts trying to wreak havoc.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of the strategy, like they specifically tailored that Winston. They say, look, you just worry about the characters that already have some damage. Don't worry about putting damage yourself on. Just if you have a character with low health, just run to that person and sort of focus them immediately, which is not a bad strategy, especially with the Tesla gun. Because you saw one of the things that they made a mistake on earlier is Trae and I want to say Thomas. What they were doing is they were getting them down to like 18 health, and they were slipping back and getting health packs, and so I think that may have been why they switched.
Yeah, and the thing with Winston is like, we call it, you call it tickling. It's like you just want to get their health down just a little bit, just to make them think more and more, and have the healers like make them more of a snap decision. Like, okay, do I heal this person or do I heal this person? And it's because there are a lot of players that don't have the awareness that, like, oh yeah, I need to run and get a health pack real quick, and that's sort of what the Winston is for. Winston, all it does, especially a really good one, creates chaos, and he creates openings for the other team to jump in there and either finish off kills or get people to the point where Winston can just jump in and finish them off.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, able to do that quite effectively. Faulkner falling 0-3 to a very good Cleary College team. But, you hate to see that. Hopefully they're able to sort of shore themselves up and figure out where to do some things differently. I think that if there was something that they would probably want to change, it would be just being able to keep an eye on their backlines better and being able to keep their healers alive, because as much as the healers are concerned with keeping other people alive, they also have to worry about their own health. And it's one of those things that if the healers focus too much on everybody else, they'll wind up like getting themselves killed, which is bad for the whole team. But yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on that? Like any reaction on maybe what Faulkner could have done to pull out a W here?
I think it's just a lot of. We're all still, as Overwatch players, we're all still learning how to better adapt to this new setup where you only have to run one tank, and you see where the adjustments lie there. I think that's what the biggest problem is with Faulkner, is just like you gotta continue to learn how to adjust, and that's just part of the learning curve. It's growing pains, and it's also just, as you said before, like the backline issues. It's just you gotta figure out how to better keep an eye on that backline, keep flankers from getting in there and trying to and let them control the game. But overall, I mean, you can always try to do the best you can, but it's just, you're just working on the little things, just always the little subtle things. Is always the best way to go about it, to refine those and get better from there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't like a catastrophic failure on every level. It was just some things that they need to polish up that were exploited tonight. While we're on waiting for the final results and everything, why don't we go ahead and see how the Smash Brothers White team is doing? Hey, if somebody over there on the White team would go ahead and give me a status update on the status of the game. Oh, well, that's not good. Okay, so currently Faulkner having some trouble here. It's 9-2 with Faulkner not in the lead. So fortunately, they're having a little trouble against this team, it appears. We've actually got the feed coming in here. So it looks like KP playing Mithra, and I don't have a stat sheet for this one. Who are we playing? Okay, yeah, this is FAU. So
it's the Owls.
Yep, it's the Owls. So the Owls giving our guys some trouble here.
Yeah, but Faulkner KP already got an advantage already with three stocks to one.
Oh, well, that was actually not him. That was his teammates.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so it's a crew battle. So if you lose stocks in a previous match, you basically surrender your stocks in the next one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
you can tell
like a relay race.
You can tell that my knowledge of Smash Brothers is like.
That's okay, Grayson. We didn't bring you in here because of your Smash knowledge. We brought you in here for your Overwatch knowledge.
Look, all I know is that I play as the character Ike, and that's all I do is just I go in there, I try to win. That's it.
All right, so KP doing an excellent job of edge guarding so far, and then juggled a little bit there, but now having trouble getting down himself, using Pyra, trying to get that last big hit. I'm actually a little surprised didn't go for the grab there. And switching to Mithra, which is a little bit bizarre at this high level of damage.
All
right, there we go with the kill. Unfortunately, does cost him a stock, but
I like that. I think he said it took me a stock, but I got him.
Yeah, well, that was a stock for a stock, unfortunately.
Soul for a soul.
Souls. You remember Soul Calibur?
I know of the game, never played it.
Well, that's kind of the way that it was. But yeah, so looks like Overwatch, they need to go ahead and they're getting their results in. Yeah, I believe that's it. So it is an 0-3 game. I hate to see that, especially because this is such a new game. It can be a little disheartening, and it's hard to really know where you are because everybody's trying to adjust, and so
Yeah.
this is going to be a weird season because of how compressed it is.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of Overwatch comes with team composition as well.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with your teammates, the communication as well is such a big key point to it, because you can have all the best players on the team that you can have. You can have some of the best players in the world, but if you don't have the communication to go with that, your team's still out of luck no matter what. So that's the main thing. And I think as the season will go on, these guys will get better and they'll know more about each other's moves, and they'll get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I only hope that is the case, and hopefully everybody can kind of coalesce. And these guys, because Faulkner is a first-year team, it's not one of these situations where you had like 4 guys that were already on the team and they just had to add 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a brand new team. They just met each other at the beginning of the semester, have only been playing together for a few weeks at this point.
Yeah.
And so, about a month and a half. It's about 6 months in, so we'll see how that goes. All right, and KP eliminates his stock, they taunt, and time to roll. So the crew battle does give a slight unfair advantage to Rob in the sense that it charges his charge beam, because the charge beam just is compiled with time. And so through no fault of the Rob players or nothing underhanded, it does give whoever is playing as Rob a little bit of an advantage because it's more time to charge that, even though he's not technically attacking.
Good night. That recovery is ridiculous.
Oh, Rob has one of the best recoveries in the game. It's because his rocket boost, I mean, literally he can be a frame away from falling through the bottom of the stage and still make it. His recovery is just that strong.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so KP wanting to pile on some damage very quickly with Mithra, but unfortunately already in a pretty deep deficit, and that down throw up A combo by Rob, and just not easy to overcome that, unfortunately.
Yeah, see, I'm just a button masher. I am just like, okay, does this seem work? Okay, this worked. Like,
well, everybody has to start somewhere, Grayson.
yeah.
All right, so now KP switching to Pyra, probably for a couple of reasons. First of all, Rob is not really in kill damage yet, but he's getting close enough that some of Pyra's attacks might be better, and now launching him off as Mithra. All right, able to catch Gyro right there. Oh man, just barely out of the range there. Oh, and uses the up A for a final kill. Yeah. So that is going to be it. Faulkner falls to the Owls. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for tonight. So, unfortunately, Faulkner not having a very good night all across the board, losing the first Smash game, losing the second Smash game, and losing Overwatch 2. So, rough night for the Eagles.
It's a rough night, but I mean, you'll get it back. I mean, that's all it is. It's like you learn from the losses and you just get better from them. So hopefully they'll get it back.
Yeah, unlike RPGs, you still get experience points even if you don't take the victory in this in esports. So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to come back from that. So we will go ahead and take a quick break. We'll hear from our speech pathology department, and then we will be back with an interview in just a minute.
Bless the corners of this house and be the lintel blessed. Bless the hearth and every board and each place of rest, and every door that opens wide to stranger as to kin, and every crystal window pane that lets the starlight in. At home, I'm going home. solace and safety home, where the world will not break me home. Never forsake me, take me home.
All right, and well,
Did you know that 100% of Faulkner's computer science graduates
since 2014 have found jobs
in their fields within 6 months of graduating?
It's a great time to be a computer scientist. Everyone is walking around with a computer in their pocket in the form of a smartphone, and it takes software developers to make those things work.
I built church websites, and through the training and instruction that I received from Faulkner, I was able to go right into my career after graduation.
It laid a solid foundation for what you need to know.
I'm getting a lot of hands-on experience within my field, and also they're just giving me a wide variety of options of things that I might want to pursue in the future.
In the state of Alabama alone, there are over 4,000 tech-related jobs available. And the preparation that you receive at Faulkner University will allow you to go to work almost anywhere as a software developer. It's a great time to be a Faulkner Eagle, and it's a great time to be a computer scientist. I hope you'll come and join us.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us here for our Overwatch 2 coverage. So we are here with Wayne McKay, who just finished a game of Overwatch 2. And Wayne, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, of course, Overwatch 2 being kind of what's on everybody's mind tonight,
Right.
Because we made the transition from Overwatch 1. And you, for as long as you've been on the team or as long as I've known you, you tend to play tank. But because, of course, they got rid of one of the tanks, tonight you were playing as DPS.
Yes, sir.
How did you make that transition, and what was the process by which you kind of adjusted for that?
Well, honestly, I kind of consider myself a utility player on Overwatch 2. Like, when I queue up by myself, I play a lot of different compositions with tank, DPS, and support. But for our team, I just try and play whatever we need. I practice a lot as a support and a tank. So I feel very comfortable in either three roles.
Okay. And I noticed you made several changes to characters. Sort of walk us through the process and the reason that you changed each time, because I think I saw you play at one point as Ash.
Yes.
I think I saw you play one time as, did you play as Bridget? Was that you?
No, that was Ian.
Oh, okay. So just walk us through that process of choosing each character and the reason that you made each selection.
Well, each time I swap a character, it's trying to account for what the enemy's trying to do. So if they're playing a long-range hit scan, I try to play another long-range hit scan to give them something to think about, to keep that long-range hit scan at bay. It's nothing more frustrating than having a Widow pick off your healers. So I try to play a sniper character as well to try to stop her from just picking us apart in the back lines.
Makes sense. You know, it did seem like you guys were having a little bit of trouble in the back lines. It looked like they had a Reaper that was doing a lot of
really
damage.
Good. Really good.
Extremely good at flanking you. And so how do you deal with something like that?
Well, honestly, it's just about deciding what kind of play we want to commit to. I think right now we're kind of like in the experiment process. We played two really good top teams in our league, and right now we're just learning from the experiences. I think the next game we come out, though, we'll be a lot more prepared and ready. We've already made some improvements compared to the first match that we played. We were able to actually capture a point this game. So I think we'll be ready.
Well, you know, what you're talking about there is something that kind of spreads across all of sports. Playing two of the top teams in the league right out of the bat. You know, you're also a baseball player, and so just in general, but more specific to Overwatch as well, how do you feel about that? Is it better to get the big teams and the tough teams out of the way first, or would you rather like build up your experience and take them on when you're at your peak?
I know some people hate to take losses early because they feel like they hurt your confidence, but at the same time, it's good to have that exposure early to see what a really good team looks like. These are losses that we can learn from, that we can take from. There's stuff that we can see other teams do against us and that we can use for ourselves, and we can see where our weaknesses and our strengths are at. So I think this is a good chance for us to regroup and come back even stronger next week.
Well, I know that this team has already done that once because for those of you who may not remember, we actually had an Overwatch 1 tournament that started out because they knew they weren't going to be able to have a full season when they switched to Overwatch 2. And so I remember because of that, you guys took a very big loss.
Right.
But the reason that you did is because we were a brand new team that had never
Right.
played before in
Yes,
NACE.
sir.
And so they pitted us against one of the top teams in their league.
Yes, sir.
And so I really kind of felt like that was where the team came together. It was like, okay, you know, we kind of understand what we're up against now, and they really started getting serious.
I was glad to play at Columbus International team. Like I said, a really great team. Program there. It really exposed some things about our style of play and gave us some things that we need to focus on more during practice. And I'm really looking forward to next week. I think we're going to see a dramatic change in some of our performance.
Well, excellent. That is certainly what we want to hear, and we'd love to take home a W for the Eagles.
Yes, sir.
So thank you so much. That's Wayne McKay, who was playing tonight, and we're going to go ahead and call it a night here for the evening. So special thanks to everybody that was helping me out with everything behind the scenes. Special thanks to our producer, Trinity Thomas, who it's her maiden voyage here on the production staff, and so we really appreciate her stepping up and helping out with that, doing a very difficult job and doing it very well, especially considering all of our technical difficulties, which even I've never had to deal with. So really good on her trying to step up with that, and also Brandon Campbell and Brandon Dishman, who were sort of helping with all of that as well. Thank you to Grayson Plunkett, who was my broadcast partner for the evening, doing a great job giving some commentary and insight. And that's going to be it for us. Once again, our final score, a tough loss with a 0-3 to Cleary College. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we will see you again. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow, where we've got a big CSGO game. So be sure to tune into that at 6 p.m. In the meantime, stay the course, friends.
The preceding broadcast was an official presentation of Faulkner University. It may not be redistributed without the express written consent of the Faulkner University Athletic Department. Regitar USA High-Res Arena is sponsored by Regitar USA. The national anthem was performed by the Faulkner University Chorus. If you would like to learn more about the Faulkner esports program, visit our official website at faulknereagles.com or follow us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram for all the latest news and events. Thank you for watching, and soar Eagles!